Right. Good evening, all of you. Can you hear me?
Yes, madam.
Okay. Shall we start now? While others are joining, as we have good number, we have 16 people here. So I think it's better to start now. So meanwhile, you can drop a message to the group telling that others to join the session as soon as possible, right? So hope all of you are doing well. So I think you are in the stage of industrial exposure these days, right? So while engaging in your training, industry exposure, so I'm happy to see you in this forum today. So the main objective of today's session is to give you some feedbacks and give you some insights about how to finalize your chapter 1 of the thesis, right? So if I mention the our situation today, as a today of the dissertation journey, so you have completed your proposals, you have completed your first chapter as at today, right? So with various guidances from the department and from your supervisors, however, you have developed your first chapter. So, and I could review some of your chapters also. After reviewing them, I identified some of the common errors that all of you have done. So after this session, you will be able to correct them all and recorrect your chapters addressing the issues that you have done in developing your chapter 1, right? So, okay, when it's come to first chapter of the research, so in this research journey, if I summarize what you have done so far, so in your curriculum, you have learned a subject called research methodology, right? So before you start in your final year thesis, this research methodology subject, the purpose of having this research methodology subject is to give you the basic insights about the research process, right? Understanding this research process is very vital and very important in order to finalize your final year thesis, right? So if I mention this importance of this research for your degree, is basically in our department you are offered with the honors degree, right? It is honors degree. The specialty of this honors degree is that the thesis, right? So doing an individual thesis is the specialty of your honors degree. So when it's come to thesis, as you are into the discipline of marketing, so you have to develop a marketing related research, right? A marketing related knowledge should be generated by you as undergraduates to the field, right? That's why you are encouraged to find different marketing related problems to develop your research. So always you are going for your supervisor and asking what kind of topic I should select. Is the topic is okay to go forward? Likewise, you do have many problems in developing this research, right? So the most difficult part of your research is this time duration, this period, right? Because finalizing the research problem is the main task, right? After finalizing it, so you have to follow the research process only, right? So in here, right, then we'll move to the session. We'll move to the formal session now. So I discussed about some of the background information while others are joining. So, okay. So this is the outline that I am going to talk with you today. So when it's come to your first chapter, the topics, these are the topics that are mainly you are writing, right? Introduction, background of the study, research problem and the problem statement, research questions, research objectives, methodology, significance, limitations, and chapter outline, right? Those are the main inclusions to the first chapter, inclusive topics to the first chapter. Other than that, I am going to discuss about pre-works. Pre-works you have to do before starting to write this chapter, and other essential background is some of the background instructions, such as this formatting guidelines and the references, right? So those are very important in submitting a formal research to an academic institution, right? So let's move on. If you have any question, if you need any clarification, you can disturb me and you can ask, right? Okay. Before starting to write the research, chapter 1, basically, there are a few things you have to do, right? There are a few things, and already you have done these things, right? මේවා ඔයාලා කරලා තියෙන්නේ සුපර්වයිසර් ළඟට ගොඩාක් ඇවිල්ලා කතා කරලා ඔයගොල්ලෝ මේ ටික කරලා තියෙන දැනටමත්, but I will brief out how should we start to go forward, right? So research එකක් කිව්වම ළමයි, what is mean by research mean the term itself, it is saying that search means we are finding about something, and research කියන්නේ again finding, right? Again finding about something. So why we are finding about something again? Research. What would be the reasons for finding about something again and again? So basically, what would be the reason for that? So you can discuss with me, you can talk with me, you can give feedbacks. This forum is open for you to you also to express your ideas, right? So the requirement of research is to, why? Because gaps are always existing in the background and the empirical background, right? Can ප්‍රශ්න කියන දේවල් හැමදාම තියෙනවා මේ ලෝකේ, right? In each and every industry, in each and every when it's come to concepts, there are problems are prevailing in each and every discipline, every industry. That's why we need to find about them again and again. මේ gaps තියෙන හින්දා, මේ problems තියෙන හින්දා තමයි අපි මේ research කරන්නේ, right? So when it's come to marketing, so one day you will be going for a certain kind of a job, right? Or job එකට ගිහලා මොකක්ද ඔයාලා කරන්නේ? Always you have to make decisions, right? අපි මොනවා කරත් අපි ජීවිතේ despite of the career life or personal life or everywhere we are making decisions. To make decisions, we need supportive data to make right decisions. So to support that decisions, the insights provided by these researchers are very important, right? So that's the main strategy, theory, rationale behind doing these researches, right? So as you have already done these parts, I will briefly explain. So if you, yes, all of you have a topic right now. All of in here, we have 20 members with including me, so I think 19 members are there. So all the 19 students here may have a finalized research topic as at now, right? So you have found different gaps, you may have read different articles, different newspapers and websites to find your research gap, right? So gap identification is the most important thing in your research, right? So through this gap, you are identifying this research problem. After identifying this research problem, then you are step by step, you are going to solve out this research problem. When it's come to the end of the research, to the fifth chapter, you are finding answers for your problem, right? So that is the basic structure behind this research, right? So gap identification we basically do based on two main areas, practice gap and the empirical gap. So practice gap in the sense the gap existing in the industry, right? So all the theories that we are talking are existing in an particular industry, right? So empirical gap means the gap that is existing in the theoretical aspect, literature aspects, right? So if we have an example, let's think about celebrity endorsement, and you are, I think, let's imagine that one of the student is going to do a research based on research on the topic impact of celebrity endorsement to the purchase intention of young consumers of cosmetics market. අපි ඒ වගේ පොඩි ටොපික් එකක් ගමු. cosmetic market එකේ celebrity endorsement use කරන එකෙන් කොහොමද consumer purchase intention වැඩි කරන්නේ? වැඩි වෙන්නේ කොහොමද කියන එක තමයි යා හොයන්න යන්නේ. Right? So then your industry is cosmetic industry. Right? The cosmetic industry when it's come to cosmetic industry, there are plenty of brands. As you know, there are plenty of brands in this cosmetic industry. So each and every of these players in the cosmetic industry are applying different marketing strategies, right? Applying different marketing strategies in order to attract and change the action of the consumer based on the IDA model, right? Therefore, the celebrity endorsement is a vital strategy that they are using. So, imagine about Lux. Lux ගත්තොත් Lux වල strategy කොහොමද? They are entirely depend on celebrities, right? Likewise, එතකොට ඒ cosmetic industry එකේ players ලා මෙච්චර use කරනවා, celebrities ලා මෙච්චර සල්ලි වියදම් කරලා use කරනවා, but is there outcome? ඒකට outcome එකක් යාලට තියෙනවා, they having outcome. Likewise, gaps, we can inquire about those gaps, right? So I will explain I will explain comprehensively how to write these gaps in coming slides. So after identification of this gap, then you have to identify your research problem, right? So in your research problem, there are 5 parts basically. 5 parts you have to decide in your research topic. Independent variable, dependent variable. Now, all of you know what is this independent variable, dependent variable. So I'm not going to explain those things more. So your topic should have these 5 items, right? So then it is very easy for us to go forward, right? Independent variable, dependent variable, industry, or else context, study sample, ඒ කියන්නේ කාගෙන්ද අපි මේක බලන්නේ young consumers ලගෙන්ද, generation X ද generation Z ද. Likewise we have to specify a sample and the geographical area. කොහින්ද? දැන් මේක අපි ලංකාවෙම තියෙන ප්‍රශ්නයක් වුණාට we don't have access to the entire Sri Lankan market, right? Therefore, we have to select a particular geographical area, right? So we have to highlight that area of the study in our research, right? So then after finding insights through that, for that particular geographical area, so we can generalize that result to the rest of the market, right? Then finalizing conceptual framework and the operationalization table. I think you do have these components right now with you. So before starting to write the chapter, so your supervisors also may instructed you to finalize these things. So basically conceptual framework is a framework which is made with the combination of what? Independent and dependent variable. And some of you have developed it by adding a mediating or moderating variable to enrich your research. It's a good point that if you are going with the mediating or moderating variable. So this conceptual framework, so you can't decide a conceptual framework. You must have literature support to develop this conceptual framework, right? So you can do some of the alterations because you can add moderating variable, mediating variable. Likewise, you can do some alterations, but there must be literature support for each and every every alteration that you are doing for your conceptual framework, right? So it would be the theoretical significance of your research when it's come to write the significance of your study, right? So yes, that's all about the pre-works before starting the chapter. So I think you have understood. Am I correct? Did you understand? Do you need any more clarifications? Am I passed? I need your feedbacks, Lamai.
Okay.
Is it okay?
Okay, madam.
Okay, then let's move. Right, so this is the start, right? Starting point. Hammer chapter came. Your research may consist of 5 chapters. Lamai harida chapters පහක් තියෙනවා. ඔය මාසෙන් මාසෙට සබ්මිට් කරන්න කියන්නේ අන්නේ chapters තමයි. අවසානට ඔය chapters 5 කරලා ඉවරුණා කියන්නේ you are almost done of your research, right? So first chapter is introduction chapter. Second chapter is literature review. Third chapter is methodology. Fourth chapter is data analysis and discussion. Fourth chapter is conclusion and recommendations, right? So if you have done this first chapter correctly, gap identification, conceptual framework identification very correctly. So the rest of the workload is very easy for you to carry out, right? So when it's come to introduction chapter, here the first topic is introduction, right? So in each and every chapter, you have to give a brief introduction of the chapter. හැම chapter එකේම මුලට ඔයාලා දෙන්න ඕනේ මේ chapter එකේ ඔයාලා මොනවද කරන්න යන්නේ කියලා. What the chapter is outlining about, right? So in here අපි first chapter එකේදී කියන්නේ මොකද? අපි ඉස්සල්ලාම දැන් we are doing a research and we are presenting it to other parties, no? So as the author, we have to consider that this research is reading by a person who has no any idea of this research topic and the area. මේ area එක ගැන මේ topic එක ගැන මේ discipline එක ගැන idea එකක් නැති කෙනෙක් තමයි මේක කියවන්නේ කියලා හිතාගෙන තමයි ඔයාලා ලියන්න ඕනේ. Right? So in that simple manner, in that understandable manner, you have to develop this write up, right? So in this introduction chapter, you are writing about what you are going to do in this chapter basically. So when it's come to first chapter, you are writing about the background and your problem identification, research objectives, questions, limitations, significance, and chapter outline. And likewise, you have some of the topics. So you have to mention them briefly here in this chapter. I'm going to write about these things related to this topic. So your research title, and you have to give an insight about your research topic also in here, right? So it is a brief introduction written very clearly about what we are going to include in this chapter, plus entrance to the research topic. මෙතනදී chapter එකක් කියලා research topic එකට ඔයාලා enter වෙන්න ඕනේ. So in this research, what I am going to find about in this industry, these concepts are the things that I am going to discuss. කියලා එතන briefly තමයි ලියන්න ඕනේ introduction chapter එකේදී, right? So when reviewing your research chapters that you have sent, I could notice that most of you have written lengthy introduction. ගොඩාක් අය introduction එක ලොකුවට ලියලා තිබ්බා. පිටු දෙක තුන එහෙම ලියලා තිබ්බා. Right? So it is okay, but කියන ඔයගොල්ලෝ දන්නේ නැහනේ research එක මීට කලින් කරලා නැහනේ. So it is possible. So නමුත් ඒවා repeat වෙනවා ළමයි. හරිද? දැන් අපි background එකට ආවහම research problem එකට ආවහම ඔයාලට ඒත් ලියන්න තියෙන ඒ ටිකම තමයි. Right? So එතකොට ඒවා repetitions වෙනවා. So then reader is getting very bored about your research. එතකොට කියන්න තියෙන දේ simple ව කෙටියෙන් එකපාරින් කියන්න. Right? මේක elaborate කරන්න ඕනේ අවස්ථාවල elaborate කරනවා. නැති අවස්ථාවල මේ ඒක නිකන් simple understandable විදිහට ලියනවා. මෙතනදී introduction එතකොට half a page වගේ ලියුවා නම් ඇති chapter එකයි ඔයාගේ topic එකට enter වෙන එකයි. Right? Then you can move to the background of the study. Second topic of the chapter. So in here, මේක ළමයි first impression කියනෝනේ අපි first impression කියලා එකක් තියෙනවනේ. first impression කියන්නේ මුලින්ම කෙනෙක්ට ඔයාගේ background එක ඔයා හරියට ලියලා තියෙනවා නම් evaluator examiner කෙනෙක් විදිහට උනත් මම උනත් ඔයාගේ research එක mark කරන්න යද්දී ඔයා background එක නියමිත ලියලා තියෙනවා නම් මගේ ඔළුව හැදෙන ඔයාගේ research එක කියවන්න. මට ආසයි හිතෙනවා කියවන්න. මට හිතෙනවා ලකුණු දෙන්න. Right? But ඔයා ඔක ලියලා නම් ඕනෑවට පාට කරලා නම් කිසිම ඉන්ටරෙස්ටිං ගතියක් නැහැ, කිසිම මුලමඳ අග මේව කරලා නැහැ. ඔහේ තියෙන ඒවා හරියෙන් ගිනලා මේ ගණන ලියලා නම් අපිට තේරෙනවා ඒක. මේ ළමයි උමනාවෙන් නෙවෙයි කරලා තියෙන එක. ඒතර අපිට එපා වෙනවා බලන්න. මට විතරක් නෙමෙයි external party එකකට උනත් ඔයාගේ research එක කියවන්න දෙන්න අරන් කියවද්දි it may not be interesting, right? Therefore මෙතන ඉඳලම from the background of the study you have to be very focused on what you are writing, right? Right. When it's come to background, basically you are writing about the practical gap, right? මම කියවනේ practice එක කියලා. practice එකෙන් අපි we are identifying a certain research concept in a particular industry. අපි industry එක තමයි මේ research problem එක හඳුනගන්නේ. එතකොට අපි broad area එක වෙන්නේ industry එක, right? The concept we are talking about within that industry, right? දැන් අපි මම ඉස්සලා කියපු example එකේ in the cosmetic industry celebrities are engaging. Celebrities are using as a strategy, marketing strategy, right? So you have to go to that industry first. But in here following the funnel model. Funnel model කියන්නේ ළමයි broad area එකේ ඉඳලා we are moving down, narrowing the topic, right? Therefore in your researches also now you are definitely you are having an industry එකක් තියෙනනේ ඔයාලා හැමෝටම industry එකේ you have to talk about global context, that the particular industry that you have selected has been expanded throughout the world, no? ලෝකේ තියෙන එකන්නේ ඔයාලා කියන්නේ. අර ලෝකේ world context එකේ මොනවද තියෙන trends? ඔක පටන් ගත්තේ කොහෙන්ද? අපි tourism ගත්තොත් how about the performance of this industry in the global level? Right? What are the statistics? What are the trends? Likewise, you have to start from there. I have highlighted in here also. Right. When I was reviewing your chapters, one thing I could notice is any of you have not used this industrial data. Industrial statistics but there are no figures, there are no graphs, there are no trends, right? එතකොට මේ industry එකක් ගත්තාම ළමයි industry එක it is not remaining as it is. It has an evolution. ඉස්සර ඉඳලා මේ වෙනකොට කොහොමද ඒක develop වුනේ? සහ the most of the industries are predicting about the future. යාලගේ future එක ගැන predict කරලා තියෙනවා. Likewise, you have to provide those comprehensive illustrations, data. Basically, these figures, tables, charts. When you included those things in your report, it is very interesting for us to read. But make a global context again, percentage, but when it's come to Asian context, it is like this. But when it's come to Sri Lankan context, it has decreased up to this level. Likewise, when it's come to the future of this industry, it would be like this. Likewise, you have to compare the industry data, industry trends, industry figures in this background, right? But a background එක කියන ඒ වගේ data එක්ක කියන ගමන් you have to mention the gap. The main industry එකේ මෙහෙම ප්‍රශ්නයක් තියෙනවා. මේ වගේ concept එකක් තමයි මම research problem එක විදිහට අඳුනගෙන තියෙන්නේ කියලා ඒ concept එක කියන්නේ industry එක ගැන පොඩක් කතා කරලා ඒකේ developments ගැන කතා කරලා ඒකේ weaknesses ගැන කතා කරලා drawbacks කතා කරන තැනින් you can start your research problem because problem is existing as a drawback in that particular industry, right? So what are the sources that you can understand, that you can get insights for this gap? what are websites, newspaper articles, ඔය reports, ඔය annual reports තියෙන්නේ ඒවා. මොනවද ඔය census and statistic department තියෙන ඒ වගේ issue කරන reports. ඒ වගේම ඕගොල්ලන්ට මේ gaps identify කරගන්න පුළුවන්. Those are the data sources, right? Then here, while you are discussing about the practice of the industry, so you can connect it into the concept. Why concept එක consumer behavior නම්, why concept එක influencer marketing නම්, ඒක කොහොමද මෙන්න මේ industry එකේදී වැදගත් වෙන්නේ කියලා you can elaborate, right? So citations are possible in this chapter. You have to formally cite the source articles here. So and you have to mention them as bibliography at the end of the chapter also, sorry, at the end of the research, right? So next one is relevance of the topic and necessary for scientific investigation. Relevance of the topics means the relevance of your concept to be investigated in that particular industry, right? So next one, motives for choosing a particular research topic. So what are the motives? ඔයාගේ motive එක මොකද්ද? ඇයි ඔයා මේක තෝරගන්නේ? Right? So මොකද්ද ඔයාගේ motive එක? Basically it may be the gap. මේ වගේ ප්‍රශ්නයක් මම දැක්කා. I have seen. So ඒ වගේ that problem is increasing day by day. Right? There's a trend like this, but the marketers still haven't addressed it. Right? Therefore, I was motivated to find about this. Right? So for an example, now I think you all know about location-based advertising, right? Most of the fast chain restaurant chains are using this location-based advertising strategy. So location-based advertising is doing what? They are sending messages to the people near their job outlet. එයාගේ outlet එක ළඟ යන අයට මේ එයාගේ promotional messages access කරන. Then a customer may be thinking that why they are sending me this message, this promotional message to me, right? So thought මට ඒක ආවා මම consider කරනවා. Am I considering or am I thinking that it is something burn to me? ඒක මට කරදරයක්, trouble එකක්. එහෙම හිතනවාද? නැත්නම් ඒක accept කරනවාද? ඒ strategy එකෙන් එයාලට බලාපොරොත්තු වෙන outcome එක හම්බ වෙනවද? Likewise, those kind of practical things can be converted into our research area. Therefore, the motive may be to find are there any outcomes of these people, of these company people to invest in for these advertising campaigns, right? Likewise, ඔයාගේ motive it can be vary from person to person. The motive may be vary, so you can highlight that, right? So background of the study ලස්සනට ලියන්න අර කිව්වා වගේ global contest එක ගැන industry global contest එක ගැන කතා කරන්න, Sri Lankan contest එක ගැන කතා කරන්න, and study area දැන් ඔයගොල්ලෝ province එකක් ගැන කතා කරන්නේ නැත්නම් district එකක් ගැන ඒ district එකේ usability එක ඒ වගේ අර funnel model එකේ අර ලොකු context එකේ ඉඳලා narrow down කරගෙන ඔයාලගේ මේ කොටස හැදෙන්න ඕනේ. Right? So could you understand? ඔයාලා එහෙමද ලිව්වේ? මම බලපු ඒවා ගැන එහෙම මුලක් මැදක් අකක් තිබ්බේ නැහැ. Right? So you can still you have chance to adjust or then ඔයක adjust කරගන්න සමහරවිට මේවා ලියලා ඇති නමුත් රේට පෙළ ගස්සලා නැතුව ඇති. ඔය මොනවාද graphs එහෙම නම් ගොඩක් දාලා තිබ්බේ නැහැ. ඒවා හොයලා ඒවා දාන්න සහ හරියට figures formatting guidelines අනුව figures නම් කරන්න list එක හරියට හදන්න මූල chapter එකේ ඉඳලා මේ ටික කරගෙන යන්න. එතකොට final chapter එකට ආවම ඔයාලට final submission එකට ආවම ලොකු burden එකක් වෙන්නේ නැහැ ඒක. Right? So when it's come to third topic of your chapter is research problem and problem statement. So in here, in the background, basically we discussed about the practical significance, the practical gap, right? So when it's come to third topic of your chapter, here we are discussing about the empirical gap supported by the literature, right? Theoretical gap. අපි දැන් theoretical gap කියන කතන්දරය අතරම undergraduates level එකේදී ලොකුවටම බලාපොරොත්තු වෙන්නේ නැහැ. The basic focus is on to this practice gap and the empirical gap, right? So in here, empirical gap, you have to, now you are going to comprehensively discuss about your research concept. Right? In previous topic, we discussed about our industry, importance of studying this topic in our industry. But when it's come to this third topic, you are going to discuss about this concept. If we consider about marketing communication ගැන අපි කතා කරනවා නම්, so you have to start from marketing communication about that scope, consumer behavior, digital marketing, right? So we are starting to discuss about our concept in this part, right? So empirical gap in the sense, so the things that we are mentioned in this topic should be supported by literature always. And William literature support on. So I will tell you how can we get those literature support to this part. So before doing this research, so as supervisors, we are always instructing you to read. Then you should read literature, articles gain, ගොඩක් හොයන්න. Likewise, we are motivating you to read, right? So in the articles that you are reading, so at the end of each article or journal paper or whatever else, published items, they have a separate topic called limitations of the research. If not future research. Likewise, there's such section in each and every research paper that you are reading, right? So that part you can take as a source to support this area, right? So එතනදී a author එක ලියන author කියනවා මගේ finding එක මේකයි. But there are some gaps. But there are some more things to find by other researchers. There should be future researches to be conducted in this area, right? So they are suggesting different topics, right? They are suggesting different topics. So different age groups, generations, industries. යාලා කියනවා මම මේක මේ telecommunication industry එකේ කරාට. So it is a very interesting topic to be done in food and beverage industry also. So ඒක එතකොට එයා suggest කරනවා තව තැනකදී කරන්න කියලා. So you can get that point as a supportive for your research there, right? Likewise, you have to develop this topic using such research gaps using the real literatures, right? Highlight the empirical gap using secondary data and start from the area of the study and the prevailing gaps in the area supported by literature. So literature support is very important in this section, right? So after a briefing, after writing comprehensively about these things about independent variable and the dependent variable and the gaps existing, so at the end you can write therefore research problem එක තෝරට මේ විදිහට ලියන්න පුළුවන්. කියන්නේ මේ මගේ topic එකේ තියෙන වැදගත්කමත් එක්ක it is very significant. It is very important to study this area. So මෙතන මම පොඩි example එකක් දෙලා තිනවා ඔයාලට support කරන්න. ඔයාගේ ලියද්දී ඔයා මේක අනුගමනය කරලා ලියන්න. So after reviewing above gaps, the researcher motivated to conduct the research based on following research problem. Here, you can write this, right? So, with the rise of influencer marketing, again, influencer marketing තමයි concept එක. And the increasing significance of social media in shaping consumer behavior, understanding the role of celebrity endorsement in influencing Generation Z consumers' purchase decision is crucial for marketers. So, it is a accepted sentence, right? For by all, accepted sentence එකක්. Therefore, ඔයාගේ topic එකට සම්බන්ධව මේ වගේ background sentence එකක් දාලා. So, the research aims to explore the importance of importance and effectiveness of celebrity endorsement. Likewise, you can develop a research problem at the end of this topic. Make a research problem, research statement. Right? So, research problem at the end. Question form එකෙන් what is the impact ඒ වගේ question form එකෙන් තමයි research problem එක ලියද්දී එන්නේ when it's come to research statement, so you can follow this one. So අර ඔක්කොම ලියලා finally you can come to this point to conclude it, right? So it is about the third topic of your chapter. So any issues ප්‍රශ්න තියෙනවද? Do you have any questions or any feedbacks? Any clarifications? Erandi, who is Erandi? Erandi, are you there? Two five two. Who is 252? So no one is responding. So shall I move? Shall I move to the next part? Are you okay with the things I have discussed? If you can't talk, please have a message in the chat box even. We have 27 participants. එක්කෙනෙක් ගෙවත් කටවල් නැද්ද කතා කරන්න? Right, so I will continue. Next one. Fourth topic is research questions and research objectives is the fifth one. So these two topics are going in parallel, right? එතකොට මේ වගේ parallel තමයි යන්නේ, මේවා ලියන විදිහ විතරයි වෙනස් වෙන්නේ. So before developing research questions and objectives, you should have what? You should have a conceptual framework. So previously I said you that as pre-works, you have to finalize your conceptual framework, right? Conceptual framework finalize කරන්න කියලා මම කිව්වා. Right? So in that conceptual framework, you have dependent variable, independent variable, and the dimensions. So based on those dimensions, we are developing these research questions and research objectives, right? So research questions are two types, the main research question and the sub-research questions, right? So main research question is the question you have developed based on main independent variable and the dependent variable. Right? අපි example එක විදියට ගත්තක celebrity endorsement and purchase intention ගත්තොත් the main independent variable is celebrity endorsement. Main dependent variable is purchase intention. The basic aim, basic question we are going to find answers from this research is to find the relationship, the impact. Is there an impact between these main variables? So the main variable දෙක එකතු කරලා අපි question එක හදනවා. එතකොට ඒක main research question එක වෙනවා. Right? So the main question, what is the impact? The questions we have this WH questions. use කරනවා. එතනදීත් අපි මේ quantitative research, right? We are doing here about quantitative research. Therefore, we have to write what. If we are doing qualitative research, so we can use the term why, how. Likewise, ඒ වගේ අර උත්තර එන විදිහට අපිට quantitative qualitative අනුව එක වෙනස් වෙනවා. As all of you are doing quantitative researches, so you can use this term what. What is the impact of celebrity endorsement and consumer purchase intention? Maybe example එකක් මෙතන තව වෙන ඔයගේ sample එක වගේ area එක. Likewise, everything should be mentioned to have a complete question, right? So sub questions are the questions you are forming based on the dimensions. May independent variable එකට you are finding several dimensions as instructed by your research supervisor. So you are finding a conceptual framework. No, the conceptual framework may have different dimensions which has tested, which has verified by prior researchers. The prior researchers like ඒක තමයි අපි කියනවාට literature වලින්ම මේක ගේන්නේ කියලා. ඒත් ඒක verify කරලා තියෙන්නේ ඒගොල්ලෝ. එතකොට ඒක verify කරලා තියෙන හින්දා it is valid. ඒත් අපේ research එකකටත් ඒක අපිට බය නැතුව apply කරන්න පුළුවන්. In most of your proposal presentations, I could see that ඔයාලා ගොඩක් අමාරුයි වටන ඒ වගේ අර ගොඩක් valid framework එකක් නැහැ කියලා. right? එතකොට ඔයාලා මේකක් තෝරගද්දි බලන්න කී දෙනෙක් මේක use කරලා තියෙනවද? කොච්චර articles වල මේ framework එක use කරලා තියෙනවද? ඔයාලා ගොඩක් ඒවා හොයාගන්න පුළුවන් වුණොත් your conceptual framework is almost valid to conduct your study also. So when it's come to sub questions, ඒ අර dimensions ටික අපි වෙන වෙනම ලියනවා. දැන් ඔය celebrity endorsement ගත්තාම there are different dimensions, expertiseness, attractiveness. Likewise, there are few dimensions. So for each and every of those dimensions, you can have sub-research questions, right? So I think you can understand. So if you have any problem, you can disturb me at any time and ask, right? So objectives. So in here also, objective of carrying out this research is you are going to find a solution for a particular problem. No, then that problem, that main problem, you have divided into different parts here. So your main objective, your main aim, your main goal is to find the relationship between main independent variable and the main dependent variable. So in here also you have main research question and the sub-research question, if not primary and specific. All are same, right? So these questions and objectives are going in parallel. We have parallel correspondence with the තමයි. Right? So the way of writing is being different only. So the way of writing, so you can start this to investigate, right? If not to examine. Likewise, you can use those terms in writing your objective. ඔයා යන්නේ මෙන්න මේ ගැන ඉන්වෙස්ටිගේට් කරන්න, to explore. මේ ගැන ගවේෂණය කරන්න. ඒ වගේ main එක එනවා. එතකොට අර by adding that independent variable and dependent variable, and when it's come to sub objectives based on the dimensions of your conceptual framework, you can build up these sub objectives to investigate the impact of attractiveness on consumer purchase intention, to investigate the impact of expertiseness of the celebrity on consumer purchase intention. Likewise, you can build up your research questions based on your conceptual framework, right? So, when it's come to your reports, all of the reports ගත්තාම ටික ගත්තාම ප්‍රශ්න ටික නම් හරියට ගොඩක් අය හදලා තිබ්බා. නමුත් ලියලා මේක වෙන් කරලා තිබ්බේ නැහැ සමහර අය. ඔක්කොම එක ගොඩේ ලියලා තිබ්බා සහ නම්බරින් කරලා තිබ්බේ නැහැ. ඒකට ඔය නම්බරින් කරන්න 1 2 3 කියලා main question එක මේක sub questions මේව කියලා නම්බර් කරන්න. right? එතකොට තමයි clear වෙන්නේ. right? So hope you all could understand what I said. Am I correct?
Yes, madam.
Okay, thank you. Right. This is the sixth topic. The sixth topic of your chapter is methodology. Right? අපිට methodology කියලා වෙනම chapter එකකුත් තියෙනවා ළමයි. Our third main chapter is the methodology. But in here also we have to provide a small outline about the methodology. Methodology means the way of doing the research. Right? එතනදී අපි පොඩි අර outline එකක් දෙනවා. මේවා කොහොමද හැදෙන්නේ? අපි philosophy එක මොකද්ද? positivismද, interpretivismද? approach එක inductiveද, deductiveද? මෙතනදී මහා හැලී ලියන්න. මම දැක්කා I have seen in your reports you have written lot of contents in these topics. So no need to write such comprehensive descriptions. It is 4-5 lines are enough describing what is research philosophy and what is the research philosophy that you are going to apply in this particular research. So in detail we are discussing in the third chapter. Right? Therefore, do not write more comprehensive details to these small topics. Right? So philosophy may be positivism or interpretivism. Approach may be deductive or inductive. Methodological choice means qualitative or quantitative, or else mixed methodology. Strategy, survey strategy, survey වෙන්න පුළුවන්, observations වෙන්න පුළුවන්, interviews වෙන්න පුළුවන්, whatever the strategy that you are using to collect information, time horizon, cross-sectional or longitudinal. කියන්නේ මේක එකපාරයිද කරන්නේ නැත්නම් අවුරුද්දක් පාසා කරනවද? data collection techniques, data analysis කරන්නේ මොකෙන්ද? මෙතනදී SPSS කියලා හරියන්නේ නැහැ. ගොඩක් අය SPSS කියලා තිබ්බා. ඒතර data analysis technique වලට ආවම the main things we are using is descriptive analytics and inferential. But අනේ techniques තමයි අපි use මොකද correlation, regression අනේ වගේ data analysis techniques තමයි use කරන්නේ analysis එතනදී. It is not enough to write only SPSS software. You have to write. We are using descriptive and inferential. එතකොට ඒ වගේ මොනවද වෙන්නේ කියලා you have to write briefly. And the population. ඔයාගේ ස්ටඩි එකට අදාළ වෙන population. අපි හිතමු shopping customers ලා කියලා ඔයාලා බලන්න යන්නේ. It is the population. But we can't access to the population, large population. So we have to have a sample. Then what is the technique? Sampling techniques. Probability or non-probability. In probability නම් ඒකේ යටතේ මොන sampling technique එකද? If it is non-probability, what is the particular sample technique and why we are using that? Sample size. So what is the main source that you have referred in order to decide the sample size? Unit of analysis. who is the 1 unit of your sample. Likewise, you have to provide brief outline of these small topics of the research methodology, right? Because we are writing about these things very comprehensively in your 3rd chapter, right? මෙතනදී outline එකක් දුන්නා නම් ඇති. Next thing is significance. So significance of this study mainly divided into 2 topics, empirical significance and practical significance. ඔයාගේ findings කොහොමද theory වලට බලපාන්නේ සහ කොහොමද practice එකට බලපාන්නේ. එයාලට කොහොමද importance වෙන්නේ, right? So when it's come to empirical significance, now you are testing a conceptual framework related to certain context, certain population, certain geographical area. Then it is a literature support, addition to the knowledge. Existing knowledge එකට addition එකක් තමයි ඔයා ඒ දෙන්නේ ඒ finding එක. මේක අනුව මේව සම්බන්ධයක් තියෙනවා කියලා මම හොයා ගන්නවා. එතකොට ඒක literature වලට support එක. ඒතර ඔයාටත් පුළුවන් ඔයාගේ topic එකේදී අර future research කියන කැලලට ඔයාටත් දාන්න පුළුවන්. I have explored about this topic in this area, but I suggest future researchers also to test this concept using new moderating variables, new mediating variables. Likewise, you can suggest to the empirical knowledge and practice. So who are the few people will be benefited through your finding? අපි හිතමු ඔයගොල්ලෝ celebrity endorsement ගැන කරනවා cosmetic industry එකේ. ඒතර cosmetic industry එකේ ඉන්න players ලට ඔයා තමයි ඔයාගේ මේ findings වැදගත් වෙන්නේ. So you have to write comprehensively then how මොන වගේ decisions ගන්නද ඔයාගේ මේ findings වැදගත් වෙන්නේ. So ඔයාගේ dimensions after the data analysis you can decide what is the most impactful factor to the dependent variable out of these dimensions. So you can highlight that factor. So you have to invest more in order to increase this factor, to increase the purchase intention. Right? එතකොට ඒ වගේ practice එකට කොහොමද බලපාන්නේ කියලා you have to write this significance of this study focusing on these 2 main topics, right? So limitations. Limitations means the problems that you are facing when developing your research, right? So actually we are facing time limitations. We have only 6 months to complete out your research. So we don't have access to the sample. අපිට sample එක ගාවට ගිහිල්ලා data collect කරන්න බෑ. ඒකට අපි කරන්නේ digital online method එකේ Google form එක share කරලා we are collecting data. So sometimes that data may not be more accurate. හරිම කියන්න බෑ අපිට. Likewise, we have time limitations, cost limitations, right? අපිට සමහර විට අපි physically sample එක test කරනවා නම් so the output may be very fruitful, but with the cost limitation අපිට තනියම ගිහලා ඔක් කරන්න බෑ. අපිට workers අරගෙන ගිහින් කරන්න අපිට we don't have economic power, right? So cost limitations are there. Geographical accessibility. Now, some of you are doing your research in Western province in Sri Lanka. Some of you are doing in Kandy district. So, being in the North Central province, it is very difficult to access to the boundaries, right? Therefore, you have to highlight actual problems, actual issues that you have faced when developing your research. So, එතකොට ඒක මේවට අමතරව තවත් තියෙන්න පුළුවන්. There may be, right? So data, මොනවාද තොරතුරු, information access. For some journals you are not allowed to access. So එතකොට ඔයාට ඔයා සමහර අලුත් topic එකක් කරන්න යනවනම් ඔයාට ඒකේ literature හොයාගන්න බැරි වෙන්න පුළුවන්. Data, there's no access to the data sources. Reputed journals වලින් අපිට access කරන්න we should have money, right? So As we are living in this kind of a country, we don't have access. Likewise, you can highlight what are the actual problems that you, as the researcher, what are the problems that you have faced, and you can write them in your own words, not using ChatGPT, right? ඔයාගේ own words use කරලා ChatGPT ගේ support එකක් ගත්ත එක ඔයගේ grammar ටික හදාගන්න මේව කරගන්න. But the insight should be given by you yourself, right? Right. This last part is outline. So in here, as this is the first chapter, you should provide the reader a motivation to read the rest of the chapters, right? So after the first chapter, you have 4 chapters, right? The introduction එක ගැන නම් අය ලියන්න ඕනේ නැහැ. ඒක අපි already done නේ. So in here, next you have to write a small outline about second chapter, literature review. Literature review is the second chapter. So in here, second chapter එකේදී අපි කරන්නේ අපේ research topic, අපේ research concepts එක ගැන we are bringing what others have done, what others have said about our current context, current concept එක ගැන මොනවද කියලා තියෙන්නේ කියලා අපි ඉස්සර ඉඳලම ස්කෝලර්ස්ලා කියපු දේවල් අරගෙන ඇවිල්ලා අපි මෙතන ආගියුමන්ට් එකක් හදනවා, right? එතකොට ඒ ආව මේ සෙක්ෂන් එකට ආවහම තව වර්ක්ෂොප් කෙරෙයි ඔයාලට. එතකොට ඔයාලට comprehensive idea එකක් ගන්න පුළුවන් වෙයි, right? methodology එකට ආවහම එතනදීත් අර අපි කියපු අපි අතන කතා කරපු ටික comprehensively කතා කරනවා. data analysis වලදී අපි data analyze කරනවා, collect අපි sample එක define කරනවා, අපි data interpret කරනවා. Likewise, we are getting the final result, hypothesis acceptance. But in this methodology, we are making our hypothesis operationalization table also. And finally, so we are giving the recommendations and the conclusion of our research to the outside parties, right? So highlighting those main functions of each chapter, you have to write a small outline about these 4 topics under this structure of the research chapter outline topic, right? So when I was reviewing, ඔගොල්ලෝ ඔක්කොම එකට ලියලා තිබ්බේ. මෙහෙම topics වෙන් කරලා තිබුණේ නැහැ. right? ඔක්කොම එකට ලියන්නේ නැහැ. වෙනම දැන් මේක topic is 1.9 නේ. එතකොට 1.91 is literature review. 1.92 is methodology. 1.93 is data analysis. Likewise, you can separate those things into separate topics and give a brief outline about what you are going to do in this particular chapter. Right? So it is ගොඩාක් ඕනේ පිටු ගණන් ඕනේ මේ මොකද්ද කෙරෙන්නේ කියලා briefly outline කරා නම් it is almost enough, right? Right. So I think I have done all the topics belonging to the chapter 1. So any problem? ප්‍රශ්න තියනවද? So you can revise your document again if you didn't adhere to this structure. මේකට මෙහෙම කරේ නැත්නම් you can again you still have the freedom to change it, right? Right. So when it's come to formatting නම් ගොඩාක් අයගේ අවුල් මම දැකපු විදිහට එතකොට Udara sir may have given these formatting guidelines to you before the LMS. මේක ළමයි පළවෙනි chapter එකේ ඉඳලම formatting ටික හදාන යන්න final chapter එකට ආවහම final submission එකට ආවහම ළමයි අවසාන මොහොතේ අපිට approval වලට එවනවා tables නැහැ, list of figures නැහැ, table නැහැ. ඒවා කිසි පිළිවෙලක් නැහැ. එක topics එක font sizes. ඒ හින්දා හරියට formatting ටික කරගන්න formatting ඔය research එකේ formatting කරන්න දවස් 2ක්වත් යනවා final එකේ. හරියට කරන්න ඕනේ. ඒතකොට ඔයාලා පළවෙනි එකේ ඉඳලා හරියට කරගෙන ගියා නම් it will not be a much burden for you at the end. right? හරියට මෙන්න මේ හැමදේම content word count එක font එක font size මේ line spacing margin right මේ margin එක ගොඩක් අයගේ වැරදි. දැන් මෙතන කියලා තියෙනවා left 1.5 and other sides 1. මොකද ගොඩක් අයගේ ඔහොම තිබ්බේ නැහැ. ගොඩක් අයගේ 1 තිබ්බේ හැම හතර පැත්තෙම. right? එතකොට chapter title එක 16 bold. ඒ කියන්නේ අපි අර chapter 1 introduction කියලා ලියන එක 16 bold වෙන්න ඕනේ. So when it's come to introduction ඒක 14 bold. පස්සේ body of the text you can use 12. right? එතකොට ඒක ඔළුවේ තියාගන්න. එච්චර ලොකු දෙයක් නෙමෙයිනේ ඔක. right. page number කරන විදිහ. bottom centered කරන්න ඕනේ. සහ you have some pages at the start එකේදී ඔයාලට title page එක තියෙනවා content එක abstract එක ඒ වගේ pages ටිකක් තියෙනවා. ඒකට ඒවා මොනවද මේ Arabic numbers වලින් නෙවෙයි ඒවා මේ ඒ page numbers ගන්න. ඒව දාන Roman numbers වලින්. first chapter එක පටන් ගන්න තැනට එනකන් Roman numbers වලින් දාන. ඊට පස්සේ තමයි 1 2 3 වලින් පටන් ගන්න. as of now දැනටත් ඔයාලට දැනට තියෙනවා title page එක. content page එක, list of tables, list of figures. ඔය හතර ඔයාලා එතකොට දාන්න ඕනේ Roman numbers වලින්. chapter එක පටන් ගන්න තැන ඉඳලා තමයි Arabic numbers වලින් පටන්. right? මම ඒක දැක්කේ නැහැ කවගෙන්වත්. ඒ හරියට කරලා තිබ්බේ නැහැ. හැමෝම title chapter එකේ ඉඳලම you have used this Arabic numbers. So please correct those formattings, right? And it should be bottom centered. And this is very important part, right? Tables and figures. Table name කරන විදිහ, right? How to mention the list of tables. How to generate the list of figures. You have to learn. YouTube එකේ ගහලා බලන්න ඕන තරම් videos, tutorials තියෙනවා. You can practice, right? දාන හැම figure එකටම දාන හැම table එකටම table number එක caption එක දාගෙන යන්න. Then you will not be at a trouble at the end of this journey, right? ඒවා කරගෙන යන්න මුල ඉඳලා update කර කර යන්න, right? When it's come to second chapter you will be getting more figures. මොකද ඔයාලා theories දාන. ඒ figures ටික හරියට update කරගන්න. right? Likewise you can do the maximum as you can at this stage. මේ stage එකේදී කරන්න පුළුවන් හැම maximum දෙයක්ම කරන්න. So in future it will not be burden for you then, right? So it's about formatting and references. In your chapter, first chapter also, you haven't mentioned references. තමයි දෙන්නෙක් විතර තමයි දාලා තිබ්බේ මට ආපු researches වල list එක. අනිත් අය දාලා තිබ්බේ නැහැ. ඔයාලා හිතනවා ඇති as this is not the final submission we don't need to incorporate references. No, it is wrong. So in this first chapter also you have used different literature, articles, newspapers. So you have to cite them. But first chapter එක use කරපු ටික cite කරන්න. second chapter එක use කරපු එක උතර ආයෙ cite කරන්න පුළුවන්. Then අවසානට cite කරන එක citations හදන එක එතකොට ඒක burn එකක් නෙමෙයි. So citations are must. Bibliography is must. මේ citations කියන්නේ in text. ඔය body එක ඇතුලේ දාන citations and the bibliography means the list of references that you are mentioning at the end of the report. අවසානට අර දිගට දාන එක තමයි bibliography කියන්නේ. So you have to mention both these references. So the style is APA 7th edition. In this academic writing, you are allowed to have your citations based on APA 7th edition method, right? So if you don't know how to generate the citations in this version, you can use Mendeley software, and Word itself has this extension of generating references using APA 7. You can learn. You can use refer YouTube tutorials and you can learn, right? So these are the faults that you have done, which I noticed when I was reviewing your paper reports. So lengthy introduction අර මං කිව්වා වගේ introduction you should not write lengthy introduction. It is enough to have a small outline. Then when it's come to others, background and the problem statement, you can discuss everything related to the industry and the literature. And I didn't see that any of you have used this industry data, figures, trend statistics. මේවා chart එකක් දැක්කේ නැහැ, රූපයක් දැක්කේ නැහැ. ඒ වගේ ඔයාගේ report එක ලස්සන වෙන්න එහෙම දාන්න, trends දාන්න. ඒ වගේ තියෙන ඕන තරම් ඔයා හොයනවා නම් ඔයාගේ industry එක ගැන you can find. ඒවා හරියට දාලා ඒ figures හරියට නම් කරන්න. Right? ඒවා කරන්න. Right? Next. Make sure to mention main research objectives, questions, and sub-research objectives, questions separated by numbering. මේ topics අනුව දාන්න ඒවා. ගොඩක් අය main එක sub එක කියලා වෙන් කරලා තිබ්බේ නැහැ. They have mentioned all in one. Right? They have not separated. So you have to separate and you have to number them. And write the chapter outline separately. So most of you have written the chapter outline as a one paragraph. So it is not accepted. You have to write the chapter outline topic by topic. Right? As I said, at that topic also. Insert references. So I didn't see some of you some of you have not incorporated bibliography. So please mention the bibliography also. It is a must. And do not use subtopics beyond the guideline. ඔයාලට හිතන විදිහට subtopics use කරන්න එපා research එක ඇතුලේ. දැන් guideline එක දීලා තියෙනවා නම් ඔයාලට දෙයක් යම්කිසි දෙයකින් අනිත් දේ වෙන් කරගන්න ඕන you can use paragraphs. Right? අවත්‍ය වශයෙන් වෙලාවක topic එකක් දැම්මට කමක් නැහැ හැමතැනම topics දාන්න එපා. ඒක it is not academic writing style. Right? මම දැක්ක සමහර අය topics වෙන් කර කර දාලා තිබ්බා. උදාහරණ outline එකේ දාලා තියෙන ඔයාලගේ understanding එකට. ඔයා මේව ගැන කතා කරන්න ඕනේ කියන දේ highlight කරන්න තමයි එයා ඒව ටික දාලා තියෙන්නේ. So you don't have to write them there. So the idea එක වෙනස් වෙන paragraph wise paragraph වෙනස් කරන්න නැති. Right? Don't use much subtopics within your research rather than the guidelines given by the research supervisor. Right? Next, follow the formatting. So it is a must, as I said earlier also, you have to follow the formatting guidelines strictly. So formatting වලින් තමයි අපිට තේරෙන්නේ මෙයා පිළිවෙලට වැඩේ කරලාද නැද්ද කියලා. Right? The final thesis එක යනකොට පිස්සු හදනවා ඒව බලන්න කියනවා. formatting හරියට කරලා නැහැ. justify කරලා නැහැ. සමහර තැන්වල line spacing වැඩි, සමහර තැන්වල අඩුයි. So එතකොට අපිට impression එක නැති වෙනවා. So එතකොට අපි motivation එකක් නැති වෙනවා. එතකොට marks අඩු වෙනවා. මොකද formatting වලටම there are some extent of marks have been allocated. So that marks will be reduced. Right? So keep that thing also in your mind. Right? Right? So මේ literature support එක ගොඩාක් අයගේ මදි. literature gap එක practice gap එක ලියලා තිබ්බට ඒගොල්ලෝ දැනට තියෙන prevailing situations තමයි ලියලා තිබ්බේ. එතනදී යම්කිසි හරි insight එකක් එන්නේ නැහැ මේක කළ යුතුයි. මේක තව ටිකක් අපි investigate කරන්න ඕනේ කියන motivation එක එන්නේ නැහැ මේ text වලින්. So එතකොට ඒ තත්ත්වයට එන්න විදිහට facts හොයාගෙන mention කරන්න ඕක research එකේ. gap එක ලස්සනට ලියලා තියෙනවා නම් you are almost done. You are almost okay. Right? ඒතකොට ඉතුරු ටික අපිට shape එක කරගෙන ගියයි. Right? So that's all I require to discuss with you. Actually, it is not discussion. It is like self-telling. මම තමයි කියවගෙන ගියේ කටහඬක් ඇහුණෙවත් නැහැ. Right. Any questions? Do you have any questions? ප්‍රශ්න තියෙනවද කාට හරි?
මැඩම් මේ ටේබල් ෆිගර්ස් දාන එක අනිවාර්යෙන් ඕනද? ඒ කියන්නේ කන්ටෙන්ට් එක ඇතුලේ ටේබල් එකක් හෝ ෆිගර් එකක් අනිවාර්යෙන්ම ෆීචර් වෙන්න ඕනද?
කියන්නේ chapter එක ඇතුළේද?
ඔව් මැඩම්.
ඒක අනිවාර්යයෙන්ම කියන්නේ පුතා එහෙම එකක් තිබ්බොත් හොඳයි. කියන්නේ මේ ලකුණු ගන්න ඕන නම් එහෙම දාන්න. මොකද ඔයාගේ what is the industry that you are talking about?
ෆුඩ් ඇන්ඩ් බෙවරේජ්.
Yes. The food and beverage industry කියන්නේ මේ ලෝකේ පටන් ගත්ත කාලේ ඉඳලා තියෙන industry එකනේ. ඒකේ world context එක කොහොමද? develop වුණේ කොහොමද? මේ විදි මොනවද තියෙන trends? දැන් sustainable පැත්තට ගිහින් තියෙනවා. ඒ වගේ ඔයාලට ගොඩාක් තොරතුරු හොයාගන්න පුළුවන් ඔය ඕක ගැන. ඒකට ඒ වගේ charts, tables අරන් දාන්න. එතකොට තමයි reader ට ආස හිතෙන්නේ කියවන්න මේ. ඒකට ඒක ඔයාට additions ලකුණු add වෙන හේතුවක් වෙනවා. ඒ වගේ දේවල් ඔයා add කරලා තියනවා නම්. Right?
හරි මැඩම්. thank you.
Okay. Any other questions? මං කියපු දේවල් මොනවාද තේරුම් නැති දේවල් තියෙනවද? Do we have any further, do you need any further clarifications? Right. So if you can't speak, you can have your problem in the chat box also. Right. කට්ටිය කොහොමද දැන් වැඩ කරගෙන යනවද? රොමේෂ්
yes මැඩම්.
කරගෙන යනවද ජොබ් එක?
ඔව් හොටෙල් එකේ
මොකද කරන්නේ?
ෆ්‍රන්ට් ඩෙස්ක් එකේ.
Front line.
ඔව්.
සර්විස් මාකටිං උගන්වපුවා කරනවද?
අර මේ වෙඩින් ඒ කියන්නේ බංගොට් හෝල් එක ඒගොල්ලන්ගේ
හ්ම්.
පැකේජස් ඉන්ට්‍රොඩියුස් කරන්න දාලා තියෙන ෆ්‍රන්ට් ඩෙස්ක් එකට.
කොහෙද?
ඒක මම මෙහි සීදුවේ කටුනායක.
වඩා කොච්චර කාලයක් තියෙනවද ඉවර වෙන්න?
ඒගොල්ලෝ පැය 100 නිල්ලුවේ.
හ්ම්.
ලබන සමුදයෙන් ඉවර කරන්න පුළුවන් දවසට පැය 8ක් 9ක් විතර වැඩ කරනවා එතන. සෙන්සුරාදා සමාදවසට වැඩ. මේ
රිපෝට් එක ඩ්‍රාෆ්ට් කරන්න ගත්තද? මට කවුරුත්ම දැන් තව කතා කරේ නෑ ප්‍රොබ්ලම් ගැන එහෙම කියන්න.
ඔව්.
ඔකටත් වයිවා එකක් රිපෝට් එකක් එහෙම තියෙනවා.
ඔව්.
Right? So you have to ඒව ගැනත් පොඩ්ඩක් හොයලා බලලා මේ මැඩම්ගෙන් අහලා සතුටිකා මැඩම් ඉන්නේ අහලා ඒවත් කරගන්න ඔය හදිස්සියේ නැත්නම් වයිවා එහෙම දානවා ලබන සතියේ කියලා අද කියයි. හරිද?
හරි මැඩම්.
සංකසගේ මේ ටයිම්ලයින් එක ඉඳවලා දැන් පටන් ගන්නවා රිපෝට්ස් එහෙම හදනවා ගයිඩ්ලයින්ස් දාලා තියෙන්නේ. Right. As you are not raising questions, I think we can wind up. මොන හරි තව ප්‍රශ්න තියෙනවා නම් මට කතා කරන්න නැත්නම් සුපර්වයිසර් කතා කරන්න අහන්න. සහ ඔයගොල්ලෝ රිපෝට්ස් එවද්දී වර්ඩ් එක එවන්න ළමයි හරිද? අපි අප්‍රූවල් ගන්න එවනකොට වර්ඩ් එක එවන්න. එතකොට අපිට කමෙන්ට්ස් ඒක ඉන්කෝපරේට් කරන්න පුළුවන්. Right? So shall we wind up then? මම මේ PPT එකට උදාහරණයක් දෙන්නම් ඔයාලගේ LMS එකේ අප්ලෝඩ් කරන්න. So hope others are also doing good. අනිත් ප්‍රශ්නයක් නැතුව හොඳට වැඩ කරගෙන යනව නේද? අටවල නෑනේ වැඩේ කියන්නේ කාවින්දි.
Oh, madam.
කොහෙද වැඩ කරන්නේ?
Power hand plantation කියලා එක madam investment company එක.
Okay. හරි. එහෙනම් ප්‍රශ්නයක් නෑනේ සෙෂන් එකේ.
ප්‍රශ්න නැහැ.
හරි. Okay. එහෙනම් ඔය කියපු කමෙන්ට්ස් අනුව තව මොනවාරි ඇඩ්ජස්ට්මන්ට් කරනවා නම් කරලා ඔය කියපු අඩුපාඩු හදලා සුපර්වයිසර්ට දාන්න වර්ඩ් version එක. එතකොට එයා කමෙන්ට්ස් ඒවල ඉවර කරයි. එතකොට ওই chapter එක ෆයිනලයිස් කරාම 120ක් ඉවරයි රිසර්ච් එක. සෙකන්ඩ් එක ෆයිනලයිස් කරගත්තාම 140ක් ඉවරයි. ඒ වගේ ඉක්මනට ඔයාලට මේක ලේසියෙන් ඉවර කරගන්න පුළුවන්. හරියට වැඩේ කරොත්. Right? So I will upload all these materials and the lecture recording in your LMS. So thank you for your participation. Good night all.
Thank you, madam. Good night.
Thank you, madam.
Thank you, madam.
Okay.